20 Hells Angels watched a ghost walk out of the Smoky Mountains. Lily Morgan, 17 homeless starving, carried 7-year-old Ethan Cole against her chest. The boy had been missing for 6 hours. His father, Marcus Cole, chapter president of the Tennessee Hells Angels, had already imagined the funeral, had already chosen the casket, had already died inside. But here was his son, alive, breathing, in the arms of a girl nobody knew existed. Marcus fell to his knees. Lily turned to disappear, and everything changed. Subscribe now. Follow this story to the end. Comment your city. I want to see how far we travel together. Marcus Cole grabbed the girl's wrist before she could vanish. Let go of me. Wait, please. Just wait. I said let go. Her voice cut through the night like a blade. Marcus released her immediately, stepping back with both hands raised. Behind him, his brothers formed a half-circle, leather jackets. Exhaust fumes, faces hard as granite. But nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Lily Morgan stood at the edge of the firelight, trembling. Not from fear, from exhaustion, from cold, from 18 months of surviving on nothing but instinct and stubbornness. I don't want your money, she said. I'm not offering money. Then what do you want? Marcus looked at his son, still nestled against the stranger's chest. Ethan's eyes were closed. His breathing was shallow but steady. Alive. God Almighty, his boy was alive. I want to say thank you, Marcus said. That's all. Just thank you. You said it. Now I'm leaving. She tried to hand Ethan over, but the boy's fingers were tangled in her jacket, holding on with the desperate grip of a child who'd found safety and refused to let go. Ethan, Marcus knelt beside them. Buddy, you need to come to Daddy now. No, the boy's voice was muffled. She stays. Ethan, she promised Daddy. She promised she wouldn't leave me. Marcus looked up at Lily. Her jaw was tight. Her eyes wouldn't meet his. You promised him. I lied to survive. Get used to it. But you're still here. That stopped her. For a moment, something flickered across her face. Confusion, maybe? Or something she'd buried so deep she'd forgotten its name. Jack Brennan stepped forward, moving slowly the way you'd approach a wounded animal. Hey, I'm Jack. I'm not going to hurt you. I know you're not. Lily's voice was flat. Because if you tried, you'd lose that hand. A few of the bikers exchanged glances. Jack just nodded, unfazed. Fair enough. Can I ask you something? You're going to anyway. How'd you find him? We had 30 men out here, dogs, equipment, thermal imaging, 6 hours of nothing, and you just walked out of the dark with him. Lily finally looked at Jack. Her eyes were old, too old for 17. I heard him crying. I followed the sound. From where my camp, about 2 miles north. You've been living out here in the mountains. Is that a crime? No, it's a miracle. Jack shook his head slowly. You carried a 7-year-old boy 2 miles through that terrain, in the dark, in November. That's not normal. Normal died a long time ago for me. Marcus stood up, his knees aching from the cold ground. Lily, that's your name, right, Lily? She nodded once. Lily, I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to tell me the truth. Can you do that? Depends on the question. When's the last time you ate? Silence. When's the last time you slept somewhere warm? More silence. When's the last time someone gave a damn whether you lived or died? Lily's mask cracked. Just for a second, just enough for Marcus to see the girl underneath, the one who'd been running so long, she'd forgotten what it felt like to stand still. That's none of your business, she whispered. Maybe not, but I'm making it my business. Why, boo? Because you saved my son. Marcus's voice broke. He didn't try to hide it. Because 3 hours ago, I was planning his funeral in my head. I was picking out the suit I'd bury him in. I was trying to figure out how I was going to tell his mother's grave that I'd failed, that I'd lost the only piece of her I had left. Lily's hands trembled. She pressed them against Ethan's back to hide it. And then you appeared, Marcus continued, out of nowhere, carrying him like he was your own, singing him his mother's song. How do you know about that? He told me in the truck on the way here, said you sang him a song when he was scared, a song in Spanish. His mother used to sing the same one. Lily's face went pale. That's a coincidence. Maybe, or maybe it's something else. Marcus stepped closer, not threatening. pleading. I don't believe in accidents, Lily. I don't believe you just happened to be in those mountains tonight. I don't believe you just happened to find my son when 30 trained men couldn't. And I don't believe you just happened to know the only song in the world that could calm him down. What are you saying? I'm saying maybe you were supposed to find him, and maybe we were supposed to find you. Sarah Wells arrived 20 minutes later, her medical bag already open before she'd fully stepped out of her truck. Where is he? Where's the boy? Here. Marcus guided her toward the makeshift tent where Ethan lay wrapped in blankets. His lips were blue when she brought him in. Temperature's been climbing, but let me work. Sarah knelt beside the cot, her hands moving with practiced efficiency. Stethoscope, thermometer, penlight checking pupil response. Ethan, honey, can you hear me? Dr. Sarah, the boy's voice was weak but clear. Did you bring the lollipops? Sarah laughed, relief flooding her face. I always bring the lollipops. You know that. Marcus sagged against the tent pole. His son was going to be okay. His son was going to be okay. Hey, Jack appeared at his shoulder. You need to see this. See what? The girl. Come on. They walked to the edge of the camp, where Lily sat on a fallen log as far from the group as she could get without disappearing entirely. She was shivering violently now, her thin jacket doing nothing against the November cold. She won't let anyone near her, Jack said quietly. Tommy tried to bring her a blanket. She almost took his head off. She's scared. She's feral. Jack's voice wasn't cruel, just honest. Whatever happened to that girl, Marcus, it broke something in her. Something fundamental. Broken things can be fixed. Can they look at her, really look? Marcus did. He saw the hollowed cheeks, the sunken eyes, the way her body never fully relaxed, always coiled, always ready to fight or flee. He saw the scars on her knuckles, old ones faded white. He saw the way she held herself like she expected to be hit. She's been hurt, Marcus said. That's putting it mildly. Then we don't hurt her. It's that simple. Nothing about this is simple, brother. Jack sighed. What are you planning to do, adopt her? You've known her for an hour. She saved my son's life, and that's worth everything. I'm not arguing that, but you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. Watch me. Marcus walked toward Lily. She tensed immediately, her eyes tracking his every movement. I'm not going to touch you, he said, stopping 10 feet away. I'm just going to sit. That okay? She didn't answer, which he took as permission. He lowered himself onto a rock across from her, groaning as his knees protested. 42 years old. Too old for this, but not too old to try. You're still here, he said. Don't read into it. I'm just tired. That makes two of us. Silence settled between them. In the distance, Sarah's voice murmured to Ethan, soft and soothing. The fire crackled. Somewhere an owl called out. My wife died 3 years ago, Marcus said. Lily's head turned slightly, not looking at him, but listening. Cancer. Same as your mother, if I had to guess. The way you flinched when Ethan mentioned that song, that's not a random reaction. That's memory. That's grief. You don't know anything about me. I know more than you think. Marcus leaned back. I know you've been alone for a long time. I know you've been hurt. I know you've built walls so high you can't see over them anymore. And I know that somewhere inside you there's a part that's tired of fighting, tired of running, tired of being invisible. Lily's hands curled into fists. Stop. Stop what? Stop acting like you understand. You don't. You can't. You have a house. You have a son. You have people who give a damn about you. You have no idea what it's like to be alone, Marcus cut her off. To feel like the world forgot you exist. To wonder if anyone would notice if you just disappeared. Lily went still. I spent 5 years on the streets before I found the club, Marcus continued. My father was a drunk who used me as a punching bag. My mother was too scared to stop him. I ran away when I was 15, lived under bridges, stole food, did things I'm not proud of just to survive. Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to know that I see you, Lily. Not the walls, not the armor, you. Marcus's voice softened. And I want you to know that you're not alone anymore. Not if you don't want to be. Lily didn't sleep that night. She sat by the dying fire watching the embers fade, waiting for the trick. The trap. The moment when kindness revealed itself as a lie. It didn't come. Marcus checked on her twice. Once to bring coffee, once to tell her Ethan was asking for her. Tell him I said goodbye. Tell him yourself in the morning, after breakfast. I told you I'm not staying. And I told you one night, hot meal, warm bed, then you can go wherever you want. Marcus paused at the edge of the firelight. But for what it's worth, I hope you don't. He walked away before she could respond. At dawn, Jack found her in the same spot, still awake, still watching. You know, he said, settling onto the log beside her, most people would have taken the bed. I'm not most people. No kidding. Jack pulled a cigarette from his pocket, lit it with a practiced flick. Can I tell you something? Does it matter if I say no? Not really. He took a long drag, exhaled slowly. I've been riding with Marcus for 20 years. Seen him at his best. Seen him at his worst. Seen him lose his wife, raise his kid alone, hold this chapter together when everything was falling apart. What's your point? My point is, I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looked at you tonight. Lily's jaw tightened. He doesn't know me. Maybe not, but he knows what you did, and he knows what it cost you. Jack flicked ash into the dirt. You could have walked past that boy. Could have pretended you didn't hear him. Would have been easier, right, safer. Nobody would have blamed you. I don't care what people think. I know, that's what makes it matter more. Jack stood, stretching his back with a groan. Whatever you're running from, Lily, you don't have to run anymore. Not here. Everyone says that. No one means it. Marcus means it, and so do I. Jack looked down at her, his expression serious. You saved his son. That makes you family, whether you want to be or not. He walked away, leaving her alone with the sunrise. Ethan found her an hour later. She was standing at the edge of the clearing, staring into the forest, her body already angled toward escape. The boy approached without hesitation, his small hand slipping into hers like it belonged there. You're still here. Lily looked down at him. He was smiling, actually smiling, like she hadn't just spent the night plotting her disappearance. I'm leaving soon. Daddy said we're having pancakes first. I'm not hungry. Liar. Ethan's grin widened. Your tummy growled like a bear last night, I heard it. Despite everything, Lily felt her lips twitch. Bears don't growl. Sure they do, in movies. Movies aren't real. Neither is being not hungry when you haven't eaten in forever. Ethan tugged her hand. Come on, Daddy makes the best pancakes. He puts chocolate chips in them, and whipped cream, and sometimes sprinkles, if I ask really nice. That's a lot of sugar. That's the point. Ethan's face grew serious suddenly, his 7-year-old features arranging themselves into something far older. I don't want you to go. Lily's chest tightened. You don't even know me. I know you saved me. I know you sang me Mommy's song. I know you kept me warm when I was scared. The boy squeezed her hand. That's enough, right? That's enough to know. Lily didn't answer. She couldn't. Her throat had closed up, and her eyes were burning, and she couldn't remember the last time someone had held her hand like this, like she mattered, like she was worth holding on to. Please stay, Ethan whispered. Just for pancakes. Please. And Lily Morgan, who had sworn she would never trust anyone again, who had learned that hope was just a wound waiting to happen, who had survived 18 months alone in the wilderness by keeping everyone at arm's length, nodded. Just for pancakes, she said. Ethan's face lit up like Christmas morning. Yes, come on, come on, come on. And he dragged her toward the camp, toward the smell of coffee and wood smoke, toward the man who was watching them with an expression she couldn't quite read. Marcus smiled when he saw them. 2 for breakfast. She said just for pancakes, Ethan announced, but I'm going to convince her to stay longer. I'm very convincing. And that's so. Mommy always said I could talk anyone into anything. Something passed across Marcus's face, grief. Love memory. He hit it quickly, turning toward the propane stove where a skillet was already heating. Well then, he said, let's see what we're working with. Lily, how do you feel about chocolate chips? I don't. She loves them, Ethan interrupted. She told me. I didn't tell you anything. You would have if I'd asked. The boy climbed onto a camp chair, folding his legs under him. Daddy extra whipped cream on hers. She's too skinny. Ethan, Marcus started. What she is. Look at her. She's like a skeleton with hair. Lily choked out something that was almost a laugh. Thanks a lot. You're welcome. Ethan beamed at her. See, Daddy? She's smiling. I told you I was convincing. Marcus shook his head, but he was smiling too. You're something, kid, that's for sure. As he poured batter onto the skillet, Lily stood frozen at the edge of the camp. She didn't know what to do with this. The warmth, the normalcy, the casual kindness that asked for nothing in return. Jack caught her eye from across the fire and nodded once. A simple gesture, an acknowledgement. You're okay. You're safe. You can breathe. Lily wasn't sure she believed it, but for the first time in 18 months, she wanted to. Breakfast was chaos. Ethan talked nonstop about his school, his friends, his favorite superhero, the time he tried to teach their neighbor's cat to fetch and almost got his face clawed off. Marcus kept piling food onto Lily's plate when she wasn't looking. Jack made terrible jokes that only he laughed at. Sarah arrived halfway through, stole the last pancake, and declared it the best she'd ever tasted. Lily ate 3 helpings. She hadn't meant to. But the food kept appearing and her stomach kept growling, and at some point she'd stop counting. So, Sarah said, settling into a chair beside her, Marcus tells me you have been living in the mountains. Lily's defenses snapped back into place. That's right. For how long? Long enough. 18 months, Marcus supplied from across the fire. Give or take. Sarah whistled low. That's impressive and terrifying. You're lucky to be alive. Luck had nothing to do with it. No, I suppose not. Sarah's eyes swept over Lily with professional detachment. You're malnourished, dehydrated. Your muscle mass is almost non-existent. When's the last time you saw a doctor? I don't do doctors. You don't do a lot of things, apparently, but here's the thing about survival. Lily, there's a difference between living and just not dying. Right now, you're doing the second one. Barely. Lily set down her fork. Is there a point to this? The point is, I'd like to examine you. Make sure there's nothing seriously wrong. There isn't. Then the exam will take 5 minutes and we'll both be happy. Sarah's voice was gentle but firm. I'm not going to force you, but I am going to worry, and I'm going to keep asking until you say yes. Why do you care? Because someone should. Sarah reached out slowly, giving Lily time to pull away, and touched her hand. You saved that little boy's life. The least we can do is make sure you're healthy enough to enjoy the thank you pancakes. Lily looked down at Sarah's hand on hers. The touch was warm, steady, non-threatening. She couldn't remember the last time someone had touched her without wanting something. Fine, she heard herself say. 5 minutes. Sarah smiled. That's all I ask. Quam. The examination took longer than 5 minutes. Sarah found old injuries that had healed wrong. Scars that told stories Lily refused to share. Signs of malnutrition so severe it was a miracle she was still standing. You need proper medical care, Sarah said when she'd finished. Blood tests, x-rays, probably a nutritionist too. I don't have insurance. You don't need insurance. You need someone who gives a damn. Sarah closed her medical bag. Marcus is offering to help. I suggest you let him. Why does everyone keep pushing this? You don't know me. None of you know me. You're right, we don't. Sarah met her eye steadily. But we know what you did, and we know what it means, and that's enough to start with. Lily opened her mouth to argue, but Marcus appeared at the tent entrance. Everything okay in here? She's stubborn, Sarah reported, but healthy enough considering. Considering what? Considering she's been surviving on pure willpower and spite for 18 months. Sarah patted Lily's shoulder as she passed. I like her. She's got fight. She left them alone. The tent felt smaller, suddenly the air heavier. You don't have to do this, Lily said. Do what? Whatever you're planning, the rescue, the redemption arc. I've seen it before. People decide they're going to save the poor homeless girl and then they get bored, or they realize I'm not grateful enough, or they find out I'm not worth the trouble. You think that's what this is, a project? Isn't it? Marcus sat down on the cot across from her, his elbows on his knees. Let me tell you something about my wife. Rachel was the best person I ever knew. Kind, fierce, stubborn as hell. She saw something in me when I couldn't see anything worth saving. What does that have to do with me? Everything. Marcus's voice was raw. She made me promise before she died. She said, if you ever get the chance to help someone the way people helped us, don't think, just do it. And you think I'm that someone? I think you walked out of those mountains carrying my son. I think you sang him his mother's song. I think you gave him your jacket when you were freezing to death. And I think, Marcus stopped, his voice breaking. I think Rachel sent you. I don't know how. I don't know why. But I believe it. Lily stared at him. Her walls were crumbling. She could feel them falling brick by brick, and she didn't know how to stop it. I can't stay, she whispered. Why not? Because everything I touch falls apart. Everyone I love leaves, or diseases, or gives up. Her voice cracked. I can't do that to another family. I can't let myself hope again. Marcus reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he took her hand. Then don't hope, he said. Don't trust. Don't believe. Just stay. One day at a time. One meal at a time. And if it all falls apart, I'll drive you wherever you want to go. No questions, no guilt. But give us a chance first. Why? Because my son asked me to. Because my wife would have wanted it. And because, Marcus squeezed her hand, because I think you deserve someone who fights for you, Lily. And I'm not going to stop until you believe it too.
It's there.
They left the mountains at noon. Lily sat in the passenger seat of Marcus's truck. Ethan asleep in the back, her forehead pressed against the cold glass. The forest fell away behind them, mile by mile, taking with it everything she'd known for 18 months. You okay? Marcus asked. I don't know. That's fair. They drove in silence for a while. The road wound through the mountains past small towns and empty fields and houses with smoke curling from their chimneys. I'm scared, Lily said suddenly. Marcus glanced at her. Of what? Of wanting this, of letting myself want this. She pulled her knees up to her chest, making herself as small as possible. Every time I think things might be okay, something goes wrong. And I can't survive another wrong, Marcus. I'm out of fight. Then let me fight for you. You don't owe me that. I know, I want to. Marcus kept his eyes on the road. You know what my wife used to say? She said family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up. It's about who stays when staying is hard. Your wife sounds like she was something special. She was. A sad smile crossed Marcus's face. And she would have loved you. I know that for a fact. Lily didn't respond, but something shifted in her chest, a loosening, a release, like a door opening after being locked for years. I'll try, she whispered. Try what? To stay, to believe, to let you fight for me. She looked at him, her eyes wet. But I'm warning you, I'm a mess. I don't know how to be normal. I don't know how to be part of a family. And I might run. I probably will run. That's what I do. Then we'll find you. Marcus's voice was steady. And we'll bring you back as many times as it takes. Why would you do that? Because that's what family does. Lily turned back to the window, hiding her tears. Behind her, Ethan stirred in his sleep, murmuring something she couldn't quite hear. And ahead, the road stretched, a long winding full of possibility. She didn't know what came next, but for the first time in 3 years, she wanted to find out. Marcus's house sat at the edge of Gatlinburg, and Lily stopped breathing when she saw it. Not because it was big. It wasn't. A cabin, really, wood and stone and windows that caught the afternoon light. But it was real, solid. The kind of place people called home without thinking twice about it. You okay? Marcus asked, killing the engine. It's a house, yeah. That's generally what people live in. I know, Lily's voice trailed off. She couldn't explain it. The weight of walking through a front door, the terror of having walls around her again. Ethan was already unbuckled, bouncing in the back seat. Come on, I want to show you my room. Easy, buddy. Marcus opened the back door. Let her get settled first. But Dad, Ethan, the boy deflated slightly but grabbed Lily's hand anyway, pulling her toward the house. Fine, but you have to see the treehouse later. I built it with Uncle Jack. Well, Uncle Jack built it. I handed him the nails. Lily let herself be dragged. It was easier than deciding. The inside was warm, lived in. Photographs on the walls. Marcus younger, a woman with dark hair and kind eyes. Ethan as a baby, Ethan as a toddler, Ethan growing up in frames that lined the hallway like a timeline. That's Mom. Ethan pointed at the dark-haired woman. She died when I was 4. I don't remember her much, but Dad says she was the best. Lily's throat tightened. She looks beautiful. She was. Dad cries sometimes when he looks at her pictures. He thinks I don't notice, but I do. Ethan. Marcus's voice was soft from behind them. Why don't you go wash up? I'll start dinner. But I want to show Lily. Later. Go. The boy huffed but obeyed, thundering up the stairs with the boundless energy of a 7-year-old who'd somehow forgotten he'd nearly died 12 hours ago. Lily stood frozen in the hallway, surrounded by someone else's memories. You can breathe, Marcus said. The house doesn't bite. I know, You're not used to this. I'm not used to any of this, Marcus nodded slowly. Guest room's upstairs, second door on the left. There's a bathroom attached, clean towels in the closet. He paused. Take your time. Dinner won't be ready for an hour. He walked toward the kitchen, leaving her alone. Lily climbed the stairs like she was walking to her own execution. Each step felt heavier than the last. The guest room was small, a bed, a dresser, a window overlooking the backyard. Simple, clean, safe. She sat on the edge of the bed and didn't move for 20 minutes. The shower helped. Hot water, actually hot, not lukewarm creek water or gas station bathroom sinks. She stood under the spray until her skin turned red, until the 18 months of dirt and fear and survival swirled down the drain. When she finally emerged wrapped in a towel that was softer than anything she'd touched in years, she found clothes laid out on the bed. A sweater, jeans, thick socks, a note in messy handwriting. These were Rachel's. She'd want you to have them. Lily stared at the note for a long time. Then she got dressed. Dinner was quiet at first. Marcus had made spaghetti, simple, hearty, the kind of meal that filled the empty spaces without demanding conversation. Ethan talked enough for all three of them, describing his school, his best friend Tommy, the girl in his class who always stole his crayons. Lily ate 4 helpings. She hadn't meant to. But Marcus kept refilling her plate, and Ethan kept pushing bread toward her, and at some point she'd stop being embarrassed about how hungry she was. So, Marcus said when the plates were cleared, we should talk. Lily's defenses snapped back into place. About what? About what happens next? Nothing happens next. I stay a few days, I leave. That was the deal. That was the deal, Marcus agreed, but I'd like to offer a different one. I'm not interested. You haven't heard it yet. I don't need to. I know how this goes. Lily pushed back from the table. You feel grateful. You want to help. You think you can fix me, but you can't. Nobody can. And in a week, maybe 2, you'll realize I'm more trouble than I'm worth. And my wife died in this house. Lily stopped. 3 years ago, upstairs bedroom. I held her hand while she took her last breath. Marcus's voice was steady, but his eyes were wet. Ethan was 4. He doesn't remember much, but I remember everything. The way she looked at him before she closed her eyes. The way she made me promise to keep living. To keep loving, to not let grief turn me into someone she wouldn't recognize. Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to understand something. Marcus leaned forward. I'm not trying to fix you, Lily. I'm not trying to save you or redeem you or turn you into some project. I'm offering you a place to rest. That's all. A bed, a meal. Time to figure out what you want. And if what I want is to leave, then I'll drive you wherever you want to go. No questions, no guilt. You keep saying that because I mean it. Marcus held her gaze. But I'm asking you to give us a chance first. Not for me, for Ethan. As if on cue, the boy appeared in the doorway wearing pajamas covered in dinosaurs. Lily, will you read me a story? She looked at him, this small, hopeful face that had no idea how dangerous hope could be. I'm not good at stories. That's okay. I can help. I know all the good ones. Marcus stood gathering the dishes. Go ahead. I'll clean up. Lily hesitated. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to protect herself, to not let this child worm his way any deeper into her chest. But Ethan was already grabbing her hand, and his palm was warm, and she couldn't remember the last time someone had wanted her company this badly. Fine, she said. One story. Yes, Ethan pumped his fist. I'm picking the dragon one. It's the best. He dragged her upstairs and Lily let him. The dragon story took 45 minutes. Ethan kept interrupting to add his own details. The dragon could also fly backward. The princess was actually a ninja. The castle had a secret water slide. By the end, Lily had lost track of the plot entirely, but Ethan was giggling, and something in her chest felt lighter. "You're good at this," he said when she finally closed the book. "I just read what was on the page." "No, you did the voices. Dad doesn't do the voices." "Maybe he should learn." "Maybe you could teach him." Lily's throat tightened. "I won't be here that long." Ethan's face fell. "Why not?" Because I have to go." "Go where?" She didn't have an answer. She'd never had an answer. Going was just what she did. "I don't want you to leave," Ethan whispered. "I like when you're here. The house feels less empty." "Your dad's here." "I know, but it's different." Ethan pulled his blanket up to his chin. "When you're here, it feels like how it used to feel when Mom was alive." Lily couldn't breathe. "Ethan, I'm not saying you're my mom. I know you're not. But you feel like family. Is that weird?" "No," Lily managed. "It's not weird." "So you'll stay?" I'll think about it." Ethan smiled the pure, unguarded smile of a child who believed in second chances. "Okay, night, Lily." "Good night, Ethan." She turned off his lamp and slipped into the hallway, closing the door softly behind her. Marcus was waiting at the top of the stairs, leaning against the wall. "He likes you." "He doesn't know me." "He knows enough." Marcus straightened. "You're good with him." "I'm not good with anyone." "That's not true. You just think it is." He nodded toward the guest room. "Get some sleep. We'll talk more tomorrow." "Marcus, it can wait. Everything can wait." His voice softened. "Just rest, Lily. You're safe here." She wanted to argue, wanted to explain all the reasons why safe was a lie she'd stopped believing years ago. But exhaustion was pulling at her, dragging her under, and she was so tired of fighting. "Okay," she whispered. She went to her room, closed the door, lay down on the bed, a real bed with clean sheets and a pillow that smelled like lavender. And for the first time in 18 months, Lily Morgan slept. She woke up screaming. The nightmare was always the same. Hands reaching for her in the dark. A door that wouldn't lock. Footsteps getting closer. 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 "Lily! Lily, wake up!" She swung blindly, her fist connecting with something solid. Someone grunted. She scrambled backward, hitting the headboard, her chest heaving. "It's me. It's Marcus." "You're safe." The room came into focus. Marcus was kneeling beside the bed, one hand raised defensively. Blood trickled from his lip where she'd hit him. "Oh, God." Lily's voice shook. "Oh, God, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." "It's okay. It's okay." Marcus didn't move closer. "You were screaming. I came to check on you." "I hurt you. I've had worse." He touched his lip, examined the blood on his fingers. "You've got a hell of a right hook." "This is why I can't stay." Lily was crying now, tears streaming down her face. "This is what I do. I hurt people. I'm broken, Marcus. I'm so broken." "You're not broken." "You don't know. I know enough." Marcus sat back on his heels, giving her space. "I know you've been through something terrible. I know you're carrying pain that would crush most people. And I know that whatever happened in your past, it doesn't define who you are now. You don't understand. The foster home, the man who," she couldn't say it. The words lodged in her throat like broken glass. "You don't have to tell me." "But I should. You should know what you're dealing with. What kind of person you brought into your house." "I know exactly what kind of person I brought into my house." Marcus's voice was firm. "Someone who saved my son. Someone who gave him her jacket when she was freezing. Someone who sang him his mother's song. That's who you are, Lily. Everything else is just noise." "It's not noise. It's Lily." He waited until she met his eyes. "Whatever happened to you, it wasn't your fault. Do you hear me? It wasn't your fault." Something cracked inside her. A wall she'd been holding up for years finally crumbling. "He came into my room," she whispered. "My foster father. Every night for 3 weeks, I told the caseworker. She didn't believe me, said I was making it up for attention." Marcus's jaw tightened, but he didn't interrupt. One night he came in and I was ready. I had a knife I'd stolen from the kitchen. Lily's voice was flat, distant. I cut him, bad, his hand, his arm. He was screaming and I just kept cutting until he stopped trying to touch me. Good. She looked up, startled. What? I said good. He deserved worse. I could have killed him. But you didn't. You defended yourself. That's not a crime, Lily. That's survival. The system didn't see it that way. The system failed you. Marcus's voice hardened. Every single adult who was supposed to protect you failed you. But I'm not going to fail you. Not if you let me try. Lily wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Why do you even care? Because my wife made me promise. Because my son loves you already. And because, Marcus took a breath, because I see myself in you, the kid I was before someone gave me a chance. The kid who thought he'd never be worth anything. I know what it's like to believe you're too broken to fix, and I know what it's like to have someone prove you wrong. Who proved you wrong? The club. The brothers who took me in when I had nothing. They didn't ask where I came from or what I'd done. They just gave me a jacket and said, "You're one of us now." He paused. That's what I'm offering you, Lily. Not charity, not pity, family. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him so badly it hurt. I don't know how to do this, she admitted. I don't know how to be part of something. Neither did I, but I learned. Marcus stood slowly. Get some rest. We'll figure out the details tomorrow. Marcus, Mom, he paused at the door. Thank you for not running away. I don't run. A small smile crossed his face. That's your thing, remember? He closed the door behind him, and Lily lay back against the pillows staring at the ceiling. She didn't sleep again that night, but for the first time in years, the darkness didn't feel quite so heavy. 3 days passed, then 4, then a week. Lily kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, for Marcus to change his mind, for the kindness to curdle into something uglier. But it never did. Ethan followed her everywhere, showing her his favorite hiding spots, teaching her the rules of his made-up games, asking endless questions about her life in the mountains. She deflected most of them, but he didn't seem to mind. He just kept talking, filling the silence with his boundless 7-year-old energy. Marcus gave her space. He didn't push. He didn't pry. He just made sure she had food, clean clothes, a warm place to sleep. And slowly, painfully, Lily began to let her guard down. On the 8th day, Jack showed up at the door. We need to talk, he said to Marcus. His face was grim. Marcus glanced at Lily, who was helping Ethan with a puzzle in the living room. Kitchen, now. They disappeared behind the closed door, but Lily could hear their voices, low, urgent, worried. She tried to focus on the puzzle, but Ethan had noticed too. Why are they being quiet? He asked. Grown-up stuff. Grown-up stuff is boring. Usually. The kitchen door swung open. Marcus's face was pale. Lily, can you come in here? She stood slowly, her heart already racing. What's wrong? Just come in. Jack was leaning against the counter, arms crossed. He didn't look at her. Someone's been asking about you, Marcus said. A social worker. Diane Fletcher. Lily's blood turned to ice. No. She showed up at the diner in town yesterday. Started asking questions. Said she's looking for a runaway. A dangerous runaway. Marcus's voice was tight. She had your picture, Lily. I have to go. Lily was already backing toward the door. I have to go right now, Usama. Wait, you don't understand. If she finds me here, she'll take me back. She'll put me in another home, and I can't do that again. Lily, stop, Marcus grabbed her shoulders. Look at me. She forced herself to meet his eyes. They were steady, calm, unafraid. I'm not going to let anyone take you, he said. Do you understand? Not Fletcher, not anyone. You can't stop them. The system, I don't give a damn about the system. His grip tightened. You're in my house, under my protection, and anyone who tries to take you is going to have to go through me first. And me, Jack added, and about 30 other guys who'd be very unhappy about it. Lily's legs gave out. Marcus caught her, lowering her gently into a chair. Breathe, he said. Just breathe. She's not going to stop. Lily's voice was barely a whisper. She never stops. She's the one who buried my abuse report. She's the one who put me in that home. She's been trying to catch me ever since I ran. Why? Why does she care so much? Because I embarrassed her. Because I made her look bad. Because, Lily swallowed hard, because if anyone finds out what really happened, her career is over. I'm not just a runaway to her. I'm a loose end. Marcus and Jack exchanged a look. Then we tie up the loose end, Jack said, differently. What does that mean? It means we fight back. Marcus knelt beside her chair. I know a lawyer, Claire Holloway, best family attorney in Tennessee. She's been itching for a case like this. A case like what? Government corruption, system failure. A kid who fell through the cracks because the people in charge cared more about paperwork than protection. Marcus's jaw set. Fletcher buried your abuse report. She put you in a home with a predator, and then she blamed you when you defended yourself. That's not incompetence, Lily. That's criminal. You think a lawyer can actually do something. I think Claire can do a lot of things, but only if you're willing to fight. Lily looked at the floor. I'm tired of fighting. I know, so let us fight for you. Marcus took her hand. All you have to do is stay. Can you do that? She thought about running, about disappearing back into the mountains where no one could find her, about the cold, the hunger, the loneliness that had been her only companions for 18 months. Then she thought about Ethan's smile, about Marcus's steady voice, about a house that felt like home for the first time in her life. Okay, she whispered. I'll stay. Claire Holloway arrived the next morning. She was a woman in her 50s with silver hair and eyes that missed nothing. She carried a leather briefcase in an air of controlled fury. Tell me everything, she said, sitting across from Lily at the kitchen table. Don't leave anything out. Lily told her everything. The abuse, the report, the home with the foster father, the night she'd fought back, the running, the surviving. Claire listened without interrupting. When Lily finished, she closed her notebook and looked up. Miss Morgan, I want you to understand something. What happened to you was not a series of unfortunate events. It was systematic failure at every level. The caseworker who ignored your report, the supervisor who signed off on your placement, the foster father who abused you, and Diane Fletcher, who buried the evidence because it was easier than doing her job. Can you prove any of that? I can prove all of it. Claire's smile was sharp. Your original abuse report still exists. It was filed, documented, and then deliberately marked as unsubstantiated. I have contacts at the state level who can pull it. I also have records of 3 other children who filed complaints against your foster father, complaints that were also buried. Lily's stomach dropped. There were others. At least 3. After you ran, 2 more came forward. He surrendered his license rather than face a formal investigation. Claire's voice hardened. You weren't just protecting yourself that night, Lily. You were the first one brave enough to fight back. I didn't feel brave. I felt scared. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action despite fear. Claire stood. I'm going to file an emergency petition. Guardianship transfer. It'll keep you out of state custody while we build the case against Fletcher. Guardianship transfer to who? Claire looked at Marcus. He hadn't spoken since she'd arrived, but his expression said everything. To me, he said, if you'll let me. Lily stared at him. You want to be my guardian. I want to give you options, a legal foothold, something Fletcher can't take away. He paused, but only if you want it, only if you are ready. What about Ethan? What about him? What if I mess this up? What if I hurt him somehow? What if I'm too broken to be part of a real family? Marcus crossed the kitchen and knelt beside her, chair the same way he had the first night, the same steady presence that had been anchoring her for days. You're not going to mess anything up, he said, and even if you did, we'd figure it out together. That's what families do. But, Lily, he waited until she met his eyes. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm not asking you to be fixed. I'm asking you to be here, present, trying. That's enough. She looked at Claire, at Jack, who'd been standing silently by the door, at the kitchen window where Ethan's face was pressed against the glass, watching anxiously. Okay, she said finally. File the petition. Claire nodded. I'll have it ready by end of day. The hearing will be within 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Emergency petitions move fast, especially when there is documented evidence of system failure. Claire gathered her things. In the meantime, stay out of sight. Don't go into town. Don't talk to anyone you don't trust. Fletcher's looking for you, and she's not going to stop until she finds you. What happens if she does? Claire's expression was grim. Then we improvise. She left. The house felt emptier without her. 2 weeks, Lily said quietly. A lot can happen in 2 weeks. A lot can happen in 2 minutes. Marcus stood. But we've got something Fletcher doesn't have. What's that? Each other. Ethan burst through the back door before she could respond, launching himself at Lily with the force of a small hurricane. Is it over? Are you staying? Dad said you might have to go away, but I told him no way because you're part of our family now. And families don't leave each other, right? Lily caught him holding him close. He smelled like grass and chocolate chip cookies and something else she couldn't quite name. Hope, maybe, or the beginning of home. I'm staying, she said. Ethan pulled back, his face lit up like Christmas. Really promise? Lily looked at Marcus over the boy's head. He was smiling, the first real smile she'd seen from him. Promise, she said, and for the first time in her life, she meant it. Diane Fletcher came on a Tuesday. Lily was in the kitchen with Ethan teaching him how to make grilled cheese the way her mother used to butter on the outside, 2 kinds of cheese on the inside, pressed down until the edges turned golden and crispy. You're burning it, Ethan said. I'm not burning it, I'm caramelizing it. That's just fancy burning. You're 7. What do you know about fancy? I know Dad's pancakes aren't fancy, and they're better than yours. Lily flipped the sandwich onto his plate. Eat your burned cheese and be grateful. Ethan giggled, taking a huge bite. It's actually really good. Told you. The doorbell rang. Lily's whole body went rigid. Ethan noticed immediately, his smile fading. Lily, what's wrong? Stay here. But stay here, Ethan. Don't move. She crept toward the front window, pressing herself against the wall. Through the glass, she saw a gray sedan with government plates. A woman in a navy pantsuit stood on the porch, clipboard in hand. Diane Fletcher. Lily's heart stopped, then started again, pounding so hard she could feel it in her teeth. The doorbell rang again. Mr. Cole, Fletcher's voice carried through the door. I know someone's home. I saw movement through the window. Marcus appeared from the hallway, his expression tight. He'd seen the car too. Kitchen, he mouthed to Lily. Take Ethan upstairs, now. Lily didn't argue. She grabbed Ethan's hand and pulled him toward the back stairs, moving as quietly as she could. What's happening? Ethan whispered. Shh, just be quiet. They made it to his room just as she heard the front door open. Can I help you? Marcus's voice was calm, controlled. The voice of a man who'd faced down worse than government bureaucrats. Mr. Cole, I'm Diane Fletcher, Tennessee Department of Children's Services. I'm looking for a runaway named Lily Morgan. I have reason to believe she's been staying at this address. Never heard of her. Really, because I have witness statements saying otherwise. A gas station attendant recognized her photograph. Said she was in your truck 3 days ago. Lily pressed her hand over her mouth, fighting the urge to scream. Lots of people ride in my truck, Marcus said. I give rides to hitchhikers sometimes. Can't remember every face. I see. Fletcher's voice dripped with false patience. Mr. Cole, I should warn you, harboring a runaway is a federal offense. If you're protecting this girl, you could face serious legal consequences. Is that a threat? It's a fact. Well, here's another fact. Marcus's voice hardened. You're standing on my property without a warrant. You have no legal right to enter my home or question my family. So unless you've got paper from a judge, I suggest you get back in your car and drive away. Silence. Lily held her breath. This isn't over, Mr. Cole. I never thought it was. The door closed. A car engine started. Tires crunched on gravel, fading into the distance. Lily didn't move. She couldn't. Her legs had locked up, every muscle frozen with terror. Lily, Ethan tugged her sleeve. Is the bad lady gone? Yeah, buddy, she's gone. Why was she looking for you? Lily knelt down, meeting his eyes. Because she thinks I did something wrong, but I didn't. I promise. I believe you. Ethan's voice was fierce. And Dad will make her go away. He always fixes everything. Yeah, Lily forced a smile. He does. But even as she said it, she knew the truth. Fletcher wasn't going to stop. She'd found them once. She'd find them again. And next time, she'd bring reinforcements. Marcus was pacing the kitchen when Lily came downstairs. His phone was pressed to his ear, his free hand running through his hair in agitation. I don't care what it takes, Claire. I need that hearing moved up. Yesterday, if possible. He listened, jaw tightening. Yeah, I know, emergency petitions have protocols. But protocols aren't going to help when Fletcher shows up with a police escort. Another pause. Fine, call me the second you have something. He hung up, slamming the phone on the counter. She knows, Lily said quietly. She suspects. There's a difference. Not much of one. Marcus turned to face her. We knew this was coming. Claire's working on it. We just need to hold out until the hearing. When is it? 10 days. 10 days. Lily's voice cracked. 10 days of hiding. 10 days of waiting for her to come back with handcuffs. She can't arrest you without cause. She'll make up a cause. That's what she does. Lily wrapped her arms around herself. You don't know her, Marcus. I do. She's been chasing me for 18 months. She's not going to stop because of a locked door and a good lawyer. And then we give her something else to worry about. Like what? Marcus's expression shifted. Something dangerous flickered in his eyes. Like the truth. The next morning, Jack arrived with a thick manila envelope. Got it, he said, dropping it on the kitchen table. Everything Claire asked for and then some. Lily stared at the envelope. What is that? Your life story, the real version. Jack sat down heavily. Took some digging, but I've got contacts in places Fletcher doesn't know exist. Marcus opened the envelope, spreading the contents across the table. Documents, photographs, official forms with highlighted sections. This is the original abuse report, he said, holding up a crumpled sheet. Filed by your school counselor when you were 15. Look at the stamp. Lily leaned closer, her stomach dropped. Received and processed, she read. But it says unsubstantiated. I know. Marcus's voice was hard. But look at the date. The report was filed on March 3rd. It was marked unsubstantiated on March 5th. 2 days? 2 days. No home visit, no interview with your stepmother, no follow-up of any kind. Marcus tapped the signature at the bottom. Guess whose name is on the closing report? Lily didn't have to guess. She already knew. Fletcher. She buried it. Lily didn't even pretend to investigate. Jack pulled out another document. But that's not the worst part. There's something worse. Your foster father, Raymond Pritchard. Jack's voice dripped with disgust. After you ran, 2 other kids from that home came forward. Same story, same pattern. He'd been doing this for years. Lily's hands started shaking. I didn't know. I thought I was the only one. You were the first one brave enough to fight back. The others were too scared. Jack slid a newspaper clipping across the table. 6 months after you disappeared, Pritchard surrendered his foster license. No charges filed, no investigation. He just walked away. Because Fletcher let him, Marcus finished. She covered for him the same way she covered for your stepmother. Because admitting she'd made mistakes would mean admitting the whole system failed. Lily sank into a chair, her legs unable to support her anymore. All those kids, she whispered. All those kids who got hurt because nobody listened. But someone's going to listen now. Marcus gathered the documents, his expression fierce. Claire's taking all of this to the hearing. Fletcher's not just going to lose, she's going to burn. What if it's not enough? What if the judge doesn't care? Then we appeal, and we keep appealing until someone does care. Marcus knelt beside her chair. I told you I'd fight for you, Lily. This is me fighting. She looked at him through tear-blurred eyes. Why are you doing all of this? I'm nobody, just a homeless girl who happened to find your son. You're not nobody. Marcus's voice was firm. You're the girl who saved my boy. You're the girl who survived things that would have destroyed anyone else. And you're the girl who's going to stand up in that courtroom and tell the truth even if it terrifies you. It does terrify me. I know, but you're going to do it anyway. He took her hands in his. Because you're stronger than you think, and because you're not alone anymore. Lily's tears spilled over. She'd spent so long being invisible, So long believing that no one would ever see her fight for her, believe in her. And now here was this man, this stranger who'd become something more, risking everything for her. Thank you, she choked out. Don't thank me yet. We haven't won. I know, but she squeezed his hands. Thank you for trying. The days crawled by. Lily stayed inside helping Ethan with homework, cooking meals with Marcus, trying to pretend that everything was normal when nothing was normal at all. Claire called every evening with updates. The hearing was set. The evidence was compiled. The case was strong. But Fletcher wasn't sitting idle. She's filing motions, Claire reported on night 7, trying to get the hearing postponed, claims she needs more time to prepare her response. Can she do that? Marcus asked. She can try. The judge hasn't ruled yet. What happens if she succeeds? Silence on the other end. Claire. If she gets a delay, she buys herself time to find Lily. Time to build a case for forced return to state custody. Claire's voice was grim. We can't let that happen. Then don't let it happen. I'm trying, Marcus, but the law doesn't always move as fast as we need it to. He hung up his face, a mask of frustration. Lily stood in the doorway, having heard everything. She's going to win, isn't she? No. You don't know that. I know that I'm not going to let her. Marcus turned to face her. Whatever it takes, Lily. Whatever it takes. The breakthrough came on night 9. Lily was lying awake, staring at the ceiling, when she heard voices downstairs. Marcus, Jack, someone else, a woman's voice she didn't recognize. She crept to the top of the stairs, listening. Found her at a shelter in Memphis, took some convincing, but she agreed to testify. Who is she? Angela Pritchard, Raymond's ex-wife. The unfamiliar woman's voice was sharp, professional. She divorced him 8 years ago, suspected what he was doing but couldn't prove it. When she heard about the case, she reached out. What does she know? Everything. She kept records, dates, names, patterns. She's been waiting for someone to believe her for almost a decade. Lily's breath caught. She descended the stairs slowly, her heart hammering. The woman at the kitchen table was older, maybe 60, with gray-streaked hair and tired eyes. When she saw Lily, something shifted in her expression. You're Lily. Yeah. I'm Helen Marsh, private investigator. Claire hired me to dig deeper. Helen stood, extending her hand. I found someone who wants to meet you. Who? Helen stepped aside, revealing a figure sitting in the shadows near the back door. A woman, mid-30s, blonde hair, hands clasped tightly in her lap. Hi, Lily, she said quietly. My name is Angela. I was married to the man who hurt you. Lily couldn't move, couldn't speak. I know you don't know me, Angela continued, her voice trembling, and I know you have no reason to trust me, but I want you to know something. She stood, taking a hesitant step forward. What Raymond did to you, what he did to all those children, it wasn't your fault, and I'm going to make sure the whole world knows it. Why? Lily's voice came out as a whisper. Why do you care? Angela's eyes filled with tears. Because I had a daughter. Her name was Sophie. She lived in that house with him for 3 years. A sob escaped her. I didn't know. I swear to God, I didn't know until it was too late. What happened to her? Angela didn't answer. She didn't have to. The grief on her face said everything. She took her own life, Angela finally managed. 3 years ago, she was 16. The same age Lily had been when she ran. I'm sorry, Lily breathed. I am too, every single day. Angela wiped her eyes. But I can't save Sophie. I can't go back and change what happened. The only thing I can do now is make sure no one else suffers the way she did. How? By testifying, by telling the court exactly what kind of monster Raymond Pritchard is, and by exposing Diane Fletcher for the corrupt coward who let him get away with it. Lily looked at Marcus. He nodded once. She's willing to go on record, he said. Everything, the abuse, the cover-up, Fletcher's involvement, all of it. And I'm not alone. Angela's voice grew stronger. There are others, other families, other victims. Helen's been tracking them down. By the time we're done, Fletcher won't be able to hide behind her desk anymore. Lily's legs gave out. Marcus caught her before she hit the floor. Easy, he murmured. Easy. Breathe. I'm okay, She looked at Angela through tear-blurred eyes. I can't believe you're doing this, any of you. We're doing it because it's right, Angela said simply, and because you deserve someone in your corner. I've never had anyone in my corner. You do now. Angela crossed the room and knelt beside her. All those years you spent alone surviving fighting, they're over, Lily. You're not invisible anymore. And we're going to make sure the whole world sees you. The hearing was scheduled for December 15th, 2 days away. Claire arrived the morning of the 13th for final preparations. She spread her notes across the kitchen table, walking Lily through what to expect. The judge is Patricia Emerson. She's fair, thorough, and she doesn't tolerate nonsense. Fletcher will try to paint you as unstable, dangerous, a threat to yourself and others. Am I supposed to just sit there and take it? No, you're supposed to stay calm, answer honestly, and let the evidence speak for itself. Claire leaned forward. Fletcher's whole case rests on the narrative that you're the problem. We're going to prove that the system is the problem and that she's at the center of it. What if she brings up the foster home? What I did to Pritchard? She will. And when she does, we'll introduce Angela's testimony, the other victims' statements, the documentation proving that Pritchard was a predator and Fletcher knew it. Claire's eyes blazed. By the time we're done, that woman won't be able to get a job as a crossing guard. Lily wanted to believe her. She wanted to believe that truth was enough, that justice existed, that the people who'd failed her would finally be held accountable. But she'd learned a long time ago that wanting and getting were two different things. The night before the hearing, Lily couldn't sleep. She sat on the back porch, wrapped in a blanket, watching the stars. The night was cold but clear, the sky brilliant with constellations she'd memorized during 18 months in the mountains. The door opened behind her, mind company. Marcus settled onto the porch swing beside her, 2 mugs of hot chocolate in his hands. He passed her one without asking. You should be sleeping, he said. So should you. I tried. I couldn't turn my brain off. Same. They sat in silence for a while, sipping their drinks. The steam curled up into the cold air, disappearing like breath. I talked to Elena the night before she died. Lily looked at him startled. What? We'd just put Ethan to bed. She was weak, had been for months. We both knew what was coming, but neither of us wanted to say it out loud. Marcus's voice was soft, distant. She made me promise something. What? She said, if you ever get the chance to help someone the way people helped us, don't hesitate. Don't think. Just do it. He turned to look at Lily, his eyes glistening. I didn't understand what she meant until I saw you in that forest. Marcus, you needed saving, Lily, and so did I. His voice cracked. Losing Elena nearly destroyed me. For 2 years, I've been going through the motions, taking care of Ethan, running the club, pretending I was okay when I wasn't. And then you appeared carrying my son, and something woke up inside me that I thought was dead. I'm not worth all this. Yes, you are. You don't know that. I know enough. Marcus set down his mug and turned to face her fully. I know that you could have walked past my son in that forest, could have kept running, could have saved yourself instead. But you didn't. You stopped. You helped. You gave me back the only thing in this world that matters to me. He was just a kid. Anyone would have. No, Marcus's voice was firm. Not anyone. You. You did that. And I don't care what the courts say, or what Fletcher claims, or what any piece of paper in any file anywhere says about you. I know who you are, Lily Morgan. And you're not broken. You're not dangerous. You're not worthless. Tears streamed down Lily's face. Then what am I? Marcus took her hand, his grip warm and steady. You're my daughter, in every way that matters. She broke, completely. All the walls she'd built, all the armor she'd worn, all the defenses she'd spent years constructing, they crumbled in an instant. She leaned into Marcus, sobbing against his shoulder, and he held her the way no one had held her since her mother died. I'm scared, she admitted. I know. What if we lose, then we appeal, and we keep fighting until we win? What if we never win? Marcus pulled back, holding her by the shoulders. Then we run. You, me, Ethan, we pack up and disappear. Start over somewhere Fletcher can't find us. His jaw set. I'm not losing you, Lily. Not now, not ever. You'd do that, give up everything. Everything I have is already in this house. Marcus's voice was steady. Everything else is just stuff. Lily stared at him, this man who'd been a stranger 2 weeks ago and somehow become the father she'd never had. Okay, she whispered. Okay, what? Okay, I'll fight tomorrow in that courtroom. She squared her shoulders. I'll stand up. I'll tell the truth. And whatever happens next, we'll face it together. Marcus smiled, the first real smile she'd seen from him all day. That's my girl. They sat together until the stars faded and the first light of dawn crept over the mountains. And when the sun rose on December 15th, Lily Morgan was ready. Ready to fight. Ready to tell her story. Ready to reclaim her life. The courthouse waited. The battle was about to begin. And this time she wasn't facing it alone. The courthouse smelled like floor polish and fear. Lily's hands wouldn't stop shaking. She pressed them against her thighs, willing them to be still. But they had a mind of their own, trembling, betraying her. Breathe, Marcus murmured beside her. Just breathe. I'm trying. Try harder. She almost laughed. Almost. But her throat was too tight, her chest too constricted, her whole body wound so tight she thought she might snap in half. Claire sat on her other side reviewing notes one final time. Jack stood near the door, arms crossed, watching everyone who entered with the suspicious eyes of a man who'd seen too much to trust easily. And across the aisle, Diane Fletcher sat with a state-appointed attorney, her expression calm, composed, utterly confident. She looked at Lily once. Just once. A small smile crossed her lips. That smile said everything. I've won before. I'll win again. You're nothing. Lily's fear crystallized into something harder, something sharper. Anger. All rise. Judge Patricia Emerson entered through a side door. She was older than Lily had expected. Silver hair, reading glasses perched on her nose, a face that had seen decades of human drama and remained unimpressed by all of it. Be seated. Everyone sat. The room fell silent. We're here today for an emergency guardianship petition filed on behalf of Lily Morgan, a minor currently residing with Marcus Cole of Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Judge Emerson shuffled papers. I've reviewed the preliminary documents from both parties. Miss Fletcher, I understand you filed an objection. Fletcher stood, smoothing her jacket. Yes, Your Honor. The state has serious concerns about Miss Morgan's placement with Mr. Cole. Elaborate. Miss Morgan is a documented runaway with a history of violent behavior. She attacked her foster father, fled state custody, and has been living as a vagrant for over 18 months. Mr. Cole, while seemingly well-intentioned, has no blood relation to this child and belongs to a motorcycle club with known associations to objection. Claire was honored. Miss Fletcher is making insinuations without evidence. The Hells Angels operate as a legitimate motorcycle club in this region. Mr. Cole has no criminal record, owns a successful business, and has provided a stable home for his son for the past 3 years. Sustain. Judge Emerson looked at Fletcher. Stick to facts, counselor. Fletcher's smile tightened. Of course, Your Honor. The fact is Miss Morgan is unstable. She requires professional intervention in a controlled environment, not placement with someone she's known for barely 2 weeks. Miss Holloway, your response. Claire stood, her voice steady. Your Honor, my client isn't unstable. She's traumatized. There's a significant difference. Explain. Lily Morgan lost her mother to cancer at 14. Her father remarried a woman who, according to documented evidence, was emotionally and physically abusive. When Lily reported this abuse to a school counselor, a report was filed with Child Protective Services. Claire held up a document. This is that report, filed March 3rd, 3 years ago. It was marked unsubstantiated 2 days later without a single home visit or interview conducted. Judge Emerson's eyebrows rose. 2 days. 2 days, Your Honor, and the signature on the closing report belongs to Diane Fletcher. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. Fletcher's composure cracked just slightly. That report was investigated according to protocol. There was no investigation. Claire's voice cut like a blade. No home visit, no interview with the child, no follow-up of any kind. Miss Fletcher closed the case without even meeting Lily Morgan. That's a serious accusation, Judge Emerson said. I have documentation to support it. Claire approached the bench, handing over a folder. Phone records, calendar entries, Fletcher's own notes from that period. There is no evidence of any investigation taking place. The judge reviewed the documents, her expression unreadable. Lily watched Fletcher's face. The woman was no longer smiling. Her jaw was tight, her eyes darting between Claire and the judge. Good, Lily thought. Now you know how it feels. Continue, Judge Emerson said. After Lily's father died, she was placed in foster care. Her caseworker was again Diane Fletcher. Claire returned to her table, picking up another folder. Lily was placed in 3 homes over 18 months. The 3rd home was with Raymond Pritchard. The name hung in the air like a curse. Raymond Pritchard, Claire continued, had a history of complaints that were never properly investigated. Within 6 weeks of Lily's placement, he began entering her bedroom at night. Lily's stomach heaved. She'd known this was coming, had prepared for it. But hearing it spoken aloud in this cold room full of strangers, Marcus's hand found hers under the table. Warm, steady, anchoring. When Lily reported this abuse to her caseworker again, Diane Fletcher, she was told she was exaggerating and seeking attention. Claire's voice hardened. When Lily defended herself against Pritchard's assault, she was labeled as violent and dangerous. When she fled, she was classified as a runaway threat. Your Honor, Fletcher started. I'm not finished. Claire didn't even look at her. After Lily disappeared, 2 more children from that home came forward with identical complaints. Pritchard surrendered his foster license to avoid investigation. No charges were ever filed. Because there wasn't sufficient evidence. There was plenty of evidence. Claire's composure finally broke. There were 3 children telling the same story, but instead of protecting them, you protected your clearance rates. Order. Judge Emerson's voice was sharp. Miss Holloway, control yourself. Claire took a breath. Apologies, Your Honor. Miss Fletcher, you'll have your chance to respond. For now, I want to hear from Miss Morgan directly. The judge turned her gaze to Lily. Young lady, please approach the bench. Lily's legs felt like water. She stood anyway, releasing Marcus's hand, walking forward on sheer willpower. Miss Morgan, Judge Emerson's voice softened slightly. I've heard a lot about you today. Now I want to hear from you. In your own words, tell me what happened. Lily's mouth went dry. She looked at Marcus, his steady eyes, his encouraging nod, and found her voice. I was 15 when my mom died, she began. Cancer. It took 8 months. I watched her disappear a little more every day until there was nothing left. The courtroom was silent. My dad fell apart after that. He started drinking, married Brenda 6 months later because he couldn't stand being alone. Lily's voice wavered. Brenda didn't want me there. She made that clear from the beginning. But Dad was too drunk to notice, and by the time I tried to tell someone, it was too late. What did you tell them? That she hit me, that she locked me in my room for days, that she told me I was worthless, that my mother's death was my fault, that everyone would be better off if I'd never been born. Lily's hands curled into fists. I told my school counselor everything. She filed a report, and nothing happened. Why not? Lily looked at Fletcher. The woman's face was pale now, her confidence evaporating. Because the person who was supposed to investigate decided I wasn't worth the trouble. That's speculation, Fletcher started. It's truth. Lily's voice rose. I was 15 years old and drowning, and you threw me an anchor instead of a lifeline. Miss Morgan, when my father died, you put me in a house with a monster. And when that monster started coming into my room at night, you told me I was making it up. Tears streamed down Lily's face, but her voice stayed strong. I defended myself. I fought back. And instead of protecting me, you called me dangerous. You made me the villain of my own story. Your Honor, this is emotional manipulation. Miss Fletcher, Judge Emerson's voice was ice. One more interruption and I'll hold you in contempt. Fletcher fell silent. Continue, Miss Morgan. Lily wiped her eyes. I ran because I had no other choice. Because everyone who was supposed to help me either couldn't or wouldn't. I spent 18 months in the mountains surviving on nothing because that was safer than trusting the system again. And how did you meet Mr. Cole? I found his son. Lily's voice cracked. Ethan, he was lost in the forest, freezing, scared. I heard him crying and She stopped, composing herself. I couldn't leave him. I couldn't walk past a child in danger no matter how much I wanted to stay invisible. You saved his life. I did what anyone should have done. What the people who were supposed to protect me never did. Judge Emerson was silent for a long moment. Then she turned to Fletcher. Miss Fletcher, I've heard the petitioner's claims. Now I want to hear your response. Fletcher stood slowly, her movements stiff. Your Honor, while I sympathize with Miss Morgan's difficult circumstances, the facts remain that she has a documented history of violence and instability. Placing her with an unrelated man she's known for barely 2 weeks is not in her best interest. What is in her best interest? Another foster home, a structured environment with proper oversight, like the structured environment where she was sexually abused. Fletcher's mouth opened and closed. No words came out. I have additional testimony, Your Honor. Claire stood again. A witness who can speak to Raymond Pritchard's pattern of behavior and Miss Fletcher's knowledge of it. Proceed. The side door opened. Angela Pritchard walked in, her face pale but determined. Fletcher's expression shifted. Recognition. Fear. State your name for the record, Claire said. Angela Marie Pritchard. I was married to Raymond Pritchard for 12 years. And why are you here today? Angela's voice trembled, but didn't break. Because my daughter Sophie lived in that house. Because the same things that happened to Lily happened to her. Because I tried to report it, and no one listened, and 3 years ago my daughter took her own life. A gasp rippled through the courtroom. Lily closed her eyes, tears sliding down her cheeks. After Sophie died, Angela continued, I started investigating. I found records, complaints, other victims, all of them dismissed, all of them ignored. She looked directly at Fletcher, and all of them handled by the same caseworker. Fletcher was shaking now. Her attorney whispered something in her ear, but she pushed him away. I kept records of everything, Angela said. Dates, names, documents. I've been waiting 8 years for someone to believe me. She turned to the judge. Lily Morgan isn't dangerous. She's brave. She fought back when my daughter couldn't. And she deserves a chance to live, really live, without spending the rest of her life paying for other people's failures. Judge Emerson removed her glasses, pinching the bridge of her nose. Miss Fletcher, do you have anything to say in response? Fletcher stood frozen. Her attorney tugged her sleeve. She jerked away. I followed protocol. Every case was handled according to protocol. Angela's voice rose. My daughter is dead because of your protocol. Order. Judge Emerson's voice was firm, but not unkind. Mrs. Pritchard, please. Angela felt silent tears streaming down her face. Lily wanted to go to her to hold her hand to tell her she understood, but she couldn't move. I've heard enough. Judge Emerson straightened in her chair. This court will take a 15-minute recess. When we return, I'll deliver my ruling. The gavel fell. Lily's legs buckled. Marcus caught her before she hit the floor. Easy, he murmured. Easy. It's almost over. What if she rules against us? She won't. You don't know that. I know that everything Fletcher built is crumbling. I know that Angela's testimony changed everything. And I know that Judge sees you, Lily. Really sees you. What if seeing isn't enough? Marcus pulled back, holding her by the shoulders. Then we run, like I promised. But I don't think it's going to come to that. The 15 minutes felt like 15 hours. Lily sat between Marcus and Claire, her knee bouncing uncontrollably. Jack had moved to stand directly behind them, a silent wall of protection. Angela sat in the gallery, hands clasped, praying. Fletcher hadn't moved from her seat. Her attorney was whispering urgently, but she wasn't responding. She just stared at the table in front of her, her face ashen. The side door opened. Judge Emerson returned to the bench. All rise. Everyone stood. Lily's heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. Be seated. The room held its breath. I've served on this bench for 30 years, Judge Emerson began. In that time, I've seen the best and worst of our system. I've seen children saved. I've seen children failed. I've seen dedicated caseworkers who gave everything for their charges, and I've seen, she paused, looking at Fletcher. Others. Fletcher flinched. The evidence presented today paints a deeply troubling picture. A child reported abuse and was ignored. A foster placement endangered a minor who was already vulnerable. Complaints were dismissed. Patterns were overlooked. And at the center of it all, one caseworker whose decisions or lack thereof contributed to immeasurable harm. Your Honor, Fletcher's attorney tried to interject. I'm not finished. Judge Emerson's voice was steel. Miss Morgan, please stand. Lily stood on shaking legs. You've been through more in 17 years than most people experience in a lifetime. You've been failed by the very systems designed to protect you. And despite all of that, when you found a child lost in the woods, you didn't run. You helped. You saved him. Tears blurred Lily's vision. That act of compassion, that selflessness in the face of your own suffering, that tells me more about who you are than any file or report ever could. Judge Emerson turned to Marcus. Mr. Cole, you've known this young woman for a very short time, and yet you've opened your home to her hired legal representation and stood by her through this entire process. Why? Marcus stood, his voice steady. Because she saved my son, your honor. Because she's the bravest person I've ever met. And because everyone in her life has failed her, and I refuse to be another name on that list. And you're prepared to take on legal guardianship. With all the responsibilities that entails, I am. Even knowing her history, her trauma, the challenges ahead, especially knowing all of that, Marcus's voice cracked slightly. My wife made me promise before she died that if I ever had the chance to help someone the way people helped us, I wouldn't hesitate. This is me keeping that promise. Judge Emerson was silent for a long moment. I've made my decision. Lily stopped breathing. The petition for emergency guardianship is granted. Custody of Lily Morgan is hereby transferred to Marcus Cole, effective immediately. The world tilted. Lily grabbed the table to steady herself. Furthermore, Judge Emerson continued, I'm ordering a full investigation into the handling of Miss Morgan's case by the Tennessee Department of Children's Services. Miss Fletcher, you are suspended pending the outcome of that investigation. Fletcher's face went white. Her attorney put a hand on her arm, but she shook him off. This isn't over, Fletcher hissed. Yes, it is. Judge Emerson's voice was final. For you, Miss Fletcher, this is very much over. The gavel fell. Court is adjourned. Everything happened at once. Claire grabbed Lily in a fierce hug. Jack let out a whoop that echoed off the walls. Angela was crying, laughing, crossing herself in gratitude. And Marcus just stood there, tears streaming down his face, looking at Lily like she'd hung the moon. We won, Lily whispered. We won. I can stay. You can stay. Marcus pulled her into his arms. You're staying, Lily. You're home. She broke completely, and all the fear, all the pain, and all the years of running and hiding and surviving it poured out of her in great heaving sobs. Marcus held her through all of it, didn't let go, didn't pull away, just held her until the storm passed. Lily, Lily. She looked up. Ethan was running toward them, having been kept in the hallway during the hearing. He crashed into her with the force of a small hurricane. Did we win? Dad said we might win. Did we? Lily laughed through her tears. Yeah, buddy. We won. You're staying for real forever. She looked at Marcus over the boy's head. He nodded, his eyes wet. For real, she said. Forever. Ethan's face split into the biggest smile she'd ever seen. I told you, he said triumphantly. I told you Dad fixes everything. Marcus ruffled his son's hair. This one wasn't just me, buddy. Lily fought too, and Claire, and a lot of other people. But we're a team now, right? Like the Avengers. Yeah, Marcus smiled. Like the Avengers. They walked out of the courthouse together, Marcus, Lily, Ethan, Jack, Claire. The December air was crisp and clean, carrying the smell of pine and approaching snow. Angela was waiting on the steps. Thank you, Lily said, stopping in front of her, for everything. Angela shook her head. Don't thank me. You're the brave one. You survived. You fought back. She took Lily's hands in hers. Sophie would have loved you. I know that for certain. I wish I could have met her. So do I. Angela squeezed her hands. But I think she would have wanted this. For her story to finally mean something. For it to help someone else. It did. Lily's voice broke. It helped me. They hugged, two strangers bound by shared pain, shared loss, shared hope for something better. When they finally pulled apart, Angela pressed something into Lily's hand. A photograph. A girl with blonde hair and kind eyes smiling at the camera. That's Sophie, on her 13th birthday. Angela's voice trembled. Keep it. Remember her. Lily looked at the photo, at the face of a girl who could have been her in another life. I will, she promised. Always. The drive home was quiet. Ethan fell asleep in the back seat, exhausted from the emotion of the day. Marcus drove with one hand on the wheel, the other resting on Lily's shoulder. You okay? He asked. I don't know. Lily stared out the window at the passing mountains. I keep waiting to wake up, to find out this was all a dream. It's not a dream. How do you know? Because dreams don't hurt this much. Marcus's voice was soft. And they don't feel this good either. Lily closed her eyes. What happens now? Now we go home. We have dinner. We probably watch one of Ethan's superhero movies for the millionth time. And tomorrow we start figuring out the rest. The rest, school, therapy if you want it, getting you a phone, some new clothes, all the normal stuff. Marcus glanced at her, but no rush. We've got time. Time. Lily rolled the word around in her mouth. I've never had time before. It was always just surviving to the next day. Well, now you've got tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. Marcus squeezed her shoulder. You've got a whole life ahead of you, Lily, and I'm going to be there for all of it. Lily's throat tightened. Why do you care so much? Because you're my daughter. Marcus's voice didn't waver. Not by blood, not by law, well, now by law, but that's not why. You're my daughter because I chose you, because Ethan chose you, because from the moment you walked out of that forest carrying my son, you became part of this family. Whoa. Tears slid down Lily's cheeks. I don't know how to be part of a family. Neither did I once, but I learned. Marcus smiled. And you will too, one day at a time. They pulled into the driveway as the sun was setting. The house glowed with warm light. Someone had left the Christmas lights on. Home, Marcus said. Lily stared at the house, at the lights, at the life waiting for her inside. Home, she repeated, and for the first time, the word didn't feel like a lie. That night after dinner, after the movie, after Ethan had been tucked into bed, Lily sat on the back porch watching the stars. Marcus found her there, 2 mugs of hot chocolate in his hands. He sat down beside her without a word, passing her a mug. Can't sleep, he asked. Don't want to. Afraid I'll wake up and this will all be gone. It's not going anywhere. Neither are you. Lily sipped her hot chocolate, the warmth spreading through her chest. I've been thinking, she said quietly, about what? About my mom, about how much she would have loved this. The house, the Christmas lights, Ethan's terrible jokes. A sad smile crossed her face. She always wanted a big family. Lots of kids running around making noise, driving her crazy. Sounds like she was a good person. She was the best. Lily's voice broke. I miss her every day, but lately, it's different. It doesn't hurt as much. That's how grief works. It doesn't go away. It just changes shape, becomes something you can carry. Lily looked at him. Is that how it is with Elena? Yeah, Marcus's eyes glistened. I still miss her, every single day, but I've learned to live with it, to honor her memory by being the kind of man she believed I could be. She sounds amazing. She was. Marcus was quiet for a moment. She would have loved you, Lily. I know that for certain. You keep saying that because it's true. He turned to face her. Elena had a gift for seeing people who needed to be seen, for loving the ones everyone else had given up on. She would have taken one look at you and decided you were family. No questions asked. Lily's tears spilled over. I wish I could have met her. Me too. Marcus pulled something from his pocket, a small velvet box. But I think she wanted you to have this. Lily's breath caught. What is it? Open it. She did. Inside, nestled on white silk, was a silver bracelet. Simple, elegant, with a small charm in the shape of a wing. It was Elena's, Marcus said. Caleb was holding it the night he got lost. We found it later near where you found him. His voice thickened. I think she sent you to us, Lily, and I think she'd want you to have this. Lily lifted the bracelet with trembling fingers. It caught the starlight, glinting like a promise. I can't. You can and you will. Marcus's voice was firm. You brought my son back to me. You gave me hope when I'd forgotten what hope felt like. This belongs to you now. Lily slipped the bracelet onto her wrist. It fit perfectly, and for the first time in her life, she felt like she belonged. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you. Marcus pulled her into a hug. For saving my son, for giving me my family back, for being exactly who you are. They sat together on the porch, father and daughter, watching the stars wheel overhead. Behind them, the house glowed with warmth and light, and inside Lily's chest, something that had been frozen for years finally began to thaw. 3 months had passed since the courtroom. Lily still woke up sometimes, expecting the ceiling to be branches, expecting the cold to seep into her bones, expecting to be alone. But then she'd hear Ethan's footsteps thundering down the hallway, or smell bacon frying downstairs, or feel the solid walls around her, and she'd remember. This was real. This was home. Lily, you're going to be late, she groaned, pulling the pillow over her head. 5 more minutes. That's what you said 10 minutes ago. Ethan's voice was muffled through the door. Dad says if you're not downstairs in 2 minutes, he's giving your pancakes to the dog. We don't have a dog. He says he'll buy one just to make a point. Lily laughed despite herself. 3 months and she still wasn't used to this. The noise, the chaos, the relentless energy of a 7-year-old who decided she was his favorite person in the world. She threw off the covers and stumbled to the bathroom. The face in the mirror looked different than it had that night in the forest. Fuller cheeks, brighter eyes, hair that was actually clean and brushed. The bracelet on her wrist caught the light, Elena's bracelet. She touched it every morning, the silent thank you to a woman she'd never met, but somehow felt she knew. 1 minute, Ethan shouted. I'm coming. Downstairs. Marcus was flipping pancakes with the practiced ease of a man who'd been doing this for years. He looked up when she entered, his face breaking into a smile. Sleeping Beauty finally emerges. I was tired. You're always tired. It's called being a teenager. He slid a plate toward her. Eat. You've got school in 40 minutes. School. The word still felt foreign on her tongue. 3 months of homework and tests and awkward conversations with kids who didn't know what to make of her. But she was doing it. Actually doing it. Did you finish your English paper? Marcus asked. Last night. Can I read it? Lily hesitated. The paper was personal, a narrative essay about survival, about loss, about finding family in unexpected places. Her teacher, Mrs. Patterson, had told her it was the best thing she'd written all year. Maybe later, she said. Marcus nodded, not pushing. He never pushed. That was one of the things she loved about him. Love. Another word that used to feel foreign. Dad, can we tell her now? Ethan was bouncing in his seat, practically vibrating with excitement. Tell me what. Marcus and Ethan exchanged a look, the conspiratorial kind that meant they'd been planning something behind her back. It's a surprise, Ethan said, for this weekend. What kind of surprise? If I told you it wouldn't be a surprise, duh. Lily looked at Marcus. Should I be worried? Probably. He grinned, but in a good way. The school day passed in a blur. Classes, lunch, more classes. Lily still ate alone most days, but it didn't bother her as much anymore. She had people waiting for her at home. That was enough. She was walking to her locker after the final bell when someone called her name. Lily, hey, Lily, wait up. She turned. A girl was hurrying toward her, tall, dark-haired, wearing a vintage band t-shirt that Lily vaguely recognized. I'm Maya, the girl said, slightly out of breath. We're in English together. Mrs. Patterson's class. Yeah, I remember. Cool. Maya fell into step beside Hero. So I heard your essay when you read it in class today. The one about finding your family. Lily's defenses went up. What about it? It was really good. Like really good. Maya's voice was genuine. I don't usually pay attention during those things, but yours made me cry. Don't tell anyone I said that. Lily blinked. You crit. Just a little. My mascara was fine, so it doesn't count. Maya grinned. Anyway, I wanted to say I know you're kind of new here and you don't really talk to anyone, which is totally fine, but if you ever wanted to sit with someone at lunch or whatever, I'm around. You want to eat lunch with me? Is that weird? That sounded weird. Maya winced. I'm not good at this. Making friends, I mean. I usually just say whatever pops into my head and hope for the best. Despite herself, Lily smiled. I'm not great at it either. Perfect. We can be awkward together. Maya pulled out her phone. Here, give me your number. I'll text you really stupid memes and you can pretend to laugh. I don't have to pretend. You're funny. See, I knew I liked you. Maya thrust her phone at Lily. Number now, before I lose my nerve and go back to being a socially anxious mess. Lily took the phone. Her hands trembled slightly as she typed in her number, the number Marcus had got in her just 2 weeks ago, the first phone she'd ever owned. There, she said, handing it back. Don't send me anything too weird. No promises. Maya was already typing. Okay, I sent you a picture of my cat wearing a tiny hat. That's the initiation. If you don't block me within 24 hours, we're officially friends. Lily's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen, a fluffy orange cat in a miniature sombrero looking deeply offended. She laughed. Actually laughed. His name is Chairman Meow, Maya said proudly, and he hates me, but in a loving way. That's the best thing I've ever seen. See friends already. Maya waved as she backed away toward the parking lot. See you tomorrow, Lily. Don't forget to laugh at my memes. Lily watched her go, something warm spreading through her chest. A friend. She'd made an actual friend. Marcus was waiting in the pickup line as always. Lily climbed into the truck, still smiling. Good day, he asked. Yeah, actually, yeah. That's a lot of yeahs. I made a friend. The words came out before she could stop them. Her name's Maya. She has a cat named Chairman Meow. Marcus's eyebrows rose. That's a name. She's weird, but in a good way. The best people usually are. Marcus pulled out of the parking lot. Speaking of good news, I got a call today from Claire. Lily's smile faded. About Fletcher. The investigation wrapped up. She's been officially terminated. Lost her pension, her benefits, everything. They're also pursuing criminal charges for negligence. Lily sat with that for a moment. The woman who'd haunted her nightmares for 3 years was finally facing consequences. It should have felt like victory. Instead, it just felt sad. Does that mean it's really over? Yeah, Marcus reached over and squeezed her hand. It's really over. She thought she'd cry. She didn't. Instead, she just felt lighter, like a weight she'd been carrying for years had finally lifted. Good, she said quietly. That's good. The weekend arrived with the mystery still intact. Lily tried everything, begging, bargaining, threatening to tell Ethan's teacher about the time he put a frog in the principal's mailbox. Nothing worked. Marcus and Ethan were united in their secrecy. You'll find out tomorrow, Marcus said on Saturday night. Be patient. I don't do patient. I've noticed. Sunday morning, Lily woke to Ethan shaking her shoulder. Get up, get up, get up. It's time. Time for what? The surprise dad says we're leaving in an hour. Lily groaned but dragged herself out of bed. Whatever this was, it had better be worth the hype. An hour later, she was in the truck watching the mountains roll by. They'd been driving for 30 minutes and Marcus still wouldn't tell her where they were going. Is this where you murder me and dump the body? She asked. If I was going to murder you, I wouldn't bring Ethan as a witness. Hey, Ethan protested from the back seat. I could help. You're 7. You'd get distracted by a butterfly. Butterflies are very distracting. Lily laughed, settling back into her seat. Whatever happened next, the banter, the warmth, the feeling of belonging was already enough. The truck turned onto a dirt road climbing higher into the mountains, and then suddenly Lily recognized where they were. Her breath caught. Marcus, almost there. They pulled into a clearing, the same clearing where she'd stumbled out of the forest 3 months ago carrying Ethan in her arms. But it looked different now. Motorcycles lined the dirt road, at least 30 of them. A huge banner hung between 2 trees. Welcome to the family, Lily. She couldn't breathe, couldn't speak, couldn't do anything but stare. Surprise, Marcus said softly. The bikers began to move toward the truck. Jack, Sarah, Tommy, Rita. All the faces she'd come to know over the past 3 months, all of them smiling. All of them here for her. What is this? Lily managed. Your initiation. Marcus killed the engine. Every member of the club gets one. A ceremony, a welcome, a way of saying you're one of us now. But I'm not a biker. You don't have to ride to be family. Marcus turned to face her. You're one of us, Lily. Not because of what you did that night, but because of who you are. And today, we're making it official. Lily's tears spilled over. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Just come meet your family. She stepped out of the truck on shaking legs. Immediately, Ethan grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the crowd. Come on, Jack made a cake. It's shaped like a motorcycle. The bikers parted as she approached, forming a path toward the center of the clearing. Jack stood there, holding something in his hands, a leather vest. Lily Morgan, he said, his voice carrying across the crowd. 3 months ago, you walked out of this forest carrying a boy who wasn't yours. You gave him your warmth when you had none to spare. You sang him songs when you had no voice left. You saved his life when you were barely surviving yourself. Lily's throat tightened. That night, you became family. Today, we make it official. Jack held up the vest. This belonged to Elena Cole, Marcus's wife, Ethan's mother. She'd want you to have it. The vest was worn but beautiful. The Hells Angels insignia on the back, smaller patches marking rides and events and years of brotherhood. I can't, Lily whispered. That's too much. It's exactly right. Marcus appeared beside her, his hand on her shoulder. Elena would have loved you, and she would have wanted you to carry her with you. Jack stepped forward, holding out the vest. Will you accept this? Will you stand with us, ride with us, be one of us? Lily looked at the vest, at the faces surrounding her, at Ethan bouncing with excitement, at Marcus' eyes glistening with pride. Yes, she said. Yes, I will. The clearing erupted in cheers. Jack helped her into the vest. It was too big. Elena had been taller, but it felt right. It felt like armor, like belonging. Welcome to the family, Jack said, pulling her into a fierce hug. For real this time. Thank you. Lily's voice broke. For everything. Don't thank me. You earned this. Sarah was next, then Tommy, then Rita, then a parade of bikers whose names Lily was still learning. Each one hugged her. Each one welcomed her. Each one made her feel like she mattered. By the time the line ended, Lily was exhausted, but in the best possible way. Hey, she turned. Marcus was standing a few feet away, holding 2 mugs of hot chocolate. Walk with me. They moved away from the crowd toward the edge of the clearing where the forest began. The same spot where she'd emerged 3 months ago, a ghost carrying a miracle. How do you feel? Marcus asked. Overwhelmed, happy, scared. Scared of what? Of losing this. Lily wrapped her hands around the mug. Every time something good happens, I wait for it to fall apart. I keep expecting to wake up back in the mountains cold and alone. That's not going to happen. You don't know that? I know that I'm not going anywhere. I know that Ethan's not going anywhere. I know that 30 bikers just pledged to have your back for the rest of your life. Marcus moved closer. You're not alone anymore, Lily, and you never will be again. She looked at him, this man who'd been a stranger 3 months ago and somehow become her father. I love you, she said. The words came out before she could stop them. I know that's weird. I know we haven't known each other that long, but I love you too. Marcus's voice cracked. From the moment I saw you in that forest, I knew you were supposed to be mine, to be ours. Even with all my baggage, especially with all your baggage. He set down his mug and pulled her into a hug. You're my daughter, Lily, in every way that matters, and nothing is ever going to change that. She held on to him, tears streaming down her face. 3 months ago, she'd been invisible, forgotten, alone. Now she had a father, a brother, a family, and a future. The bonfire started at sunset. The bikers gathered around, passing drinks and telling stories. Ethan roasted marshmallows, somehow getting more sugar on his face than in his mouth. Lily sat between Marcus and Jack, wrapped in Elena's vest, feeling the warmth of the fire and the warmth of belonging. Speech, someone called out. We need a speech. Lily, Lily, Lily. The chant picked up, spreading through the crowd. She shook her head, embarrassed. I can't. You can, Marcus said quietly. And you should. Lily looked at the faces around her, 50 people, maybe more. All of them watching. All of them waiting. She stood on shaking legs. I'm not good at this, she began. Talking, being seen, being part of something. Her voice wavered. For most of my life, I was invisible. I thought that's what I deserved. I thought I'd spend the rest of my life alone surviving, but never really living. The clearing was silent. And then I heard a boy crying in the woods. And everything changed. Lily looked at Ethan, who was watching her with wide eyes. I didn't save him because I'm brave or special. I saved him because I couldn't walk away from someone who needed help. I couldn't be another person who failed when it mattered. Her voice strengthened. But he saved me too. He led me to his father, to Theirs family, to a life I never thought I'd have. Lily turned to Marcus. You could have let me disappear that night. You could have said thank you and walked away. But you didn't. You fought for me. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And you gave me something I'd been missing my entire life. What's that? Someone called. Home. Lily's tears spilled over. You gave me a home. The clearing erupted in cheers. Bikers raised their drinks. Ethan launched himself at Lily, nearly knocking her off her feet. That was so good, he shouted. You made Rita cry. She never cries. I did not cry, Rita protested, wiping her eyes. I have allergies. Sure you do, Jack teased. Allergies to feelings. The tension broke. Laughter filled the clearing. And Lily stood in the middle of it all, surrounded by family, finally understanding what it meant to belong. Later, when the fire had burned low and most of the bikers had gone home, Lily stood at the edge of the clearing one last time. The forest stretched out before her, dark familiar, no longer frightening. She'd spent 18 months in those woods, surviving on instinct and fear. Now she could look at them and see something else. A beginning. The place where her real life started. Marcus appeared beside her, thinking about the old days. Sort of. Lily touched the bracelet on her wrist. I was thinking about my mom, how much she would have loved this. Tell me about her. She was kind, patient. She never gave up on anyone, even when they gave up on themselves. Lily smiled sadly. She used to say that love isn't about finding perfect people. It's about finding people worth fighting for. Smart woman. The smartest. They stood in silence, watching the stars emerge overhead. What happens now, Lily asked. Now school, summer vacation, maybe a road trip with the club. Marcus shrugged. Normal stuff. I don't know how to do normal. You'll learn, we all had to. He put an arm around her shoulders. But no matter what happens, you've got us, every step of the way. Lily leaned into him, feeling the weight of Elena's vest on her shoulders. Dad. Marcus went still. She'd never called him that before. Not out loud, yeah. Thank you for everything. Thank you. His voice was rough with emotion. For giving me my son back. For giving me a reason to keep going. For being exactly who you are. I'm a mess. You're my mess. Marcus kissed the top of her head. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Footsteps crunched behind them. Ethan appeared, rubbing his eyes. Are you guys having a moment without me? That's not fair. Get over here, Marcus said, pulling him into the hug. They stood together, father, son, and daughter, watching the last embers of the bonfire fade into darkness. Hey, Lily. Ethan's voice was sleepy but happy. Yeah, I'm really glad you found me in the forest. Lily's heart swelled. Me too, buddy. Me too. Does this mean you'll help me with my science project tomorrow? What's it about, volcanoes? Dad says we can make a real explosion. A small explosion, Marcus corrected. Controlled. Safe. That's less fun. That's keeping me from getting arrested. Lily laughed, the sound echoing through the clearing. 3 months ago, she'd forgotten what laughter felt like. Now she couldn't imagine a day without it. Come on, Marcus said. Let's go home. Home. The word no longer felt foreign on her tongue. They walked back to the truck together. Ethan's hand in Lily's, Marcus's arm around her shoulders. The motorcycles were gone. The clearing was quiet, but the warmth remained, the warmth of family, of belonging, of love that had nothing to do with blood and everything to do with choice. Lily climbed into the truck, Elena's vest still warm against her skin. She touched the bracelet on her wrist, feeling the small wing charm press against her pulse. You okay? Marcus asked. Yeah, she smiled, meaning it completely. I'm perfect. The engine roared to life. The truck pulled away from the clearing, leaving the forest behind. And Lily Morgan, who had once been invisible, forgotten, lost, watched the mountains fade in the rearview mirror and felt something she'd never felt before. Peace. She had a home now, a family, a future. The road stretched out before them, long and winding and full of possibility. But Lily wasn't afraid anymore. She wasn't running. She wasn't hiding. She was exactly where she was meant to be. And for the first time in her life, that was enough. The stars blazed overhead as the truck disappeared down the mountain road. Behind them, the forest stood silent, keeping its secrets, waiting for the next lost soul who might need saving. But Lily Morgan would not be returning. She had found what she was looking for. She had found her family. She had found herself. And nothing, not fear, not doubt, not all the darkness in the world would ever take that away from her. The homeless girl who'd walked out of the mountains carrying a stranger's son had become something more. A daughter, a sister, a survivor, a fighter, a Hell's Angel. Not by birth, not by circumstance, but by choice. And that made all the difference. If this story touched your heart, subscribe and tell us where you're watching from. You're part of this family now.